Hello and welcome to Web3 Harbor's Mix series. I'm Andrew, and you've just stepped into our monthly L&D residency. This is a space where we move into what's actually building the future of Web3. Our premise is simple. We hand the mic to the architects within the ecosystem, allowing them to become the faculty. In every session, our members help us dive deep into the technical and strategic intelligence that bridges the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. It's about shared expertise, community growth, and moving the needle together. We're ready to get started, so let's head straight into today's exchange.
Doing good.
All set. Okay. It's great to see everybody online. I think, thank you for joining us during your lunch break. This is being recorded, so those that do join in from now can catch up on what is missed, but we'd love to kick off. We have an exciting program today. So good afternoon and welcome to Web3 Harbor's Mix series. I'm Kathy Bruin, Head of Association at Web3 Harbor, and it's my honor to be able to open this episode today. Before we get started, for those joining or hearing about Web3 Harbor for the first time, Web3 Harbor is Hong Kong-based industry association bringing together stakeholders from across the ecosystem to foster collaboration, innovation, and co-creation in the development of the decentralized internet and digital asset economy. This Mix webinar series stands for Member Intelligence Exchange, and it was created to offer a platform where members, the actual architects building the ecosystem, step forward as faculty. So every month, usually the third Thursday of the month, we turn deep industry expertise into accessible high signal education for the rest of the ecosystem. And today, we're very fortunate to have not one, not two, but three member firms joining to share their expertise today. So it is my pleasure to introduce, first off, Jeffrey Tchui, Executive Director, Head of APAC at Hashgraph, and a Web3 Harbor Senior Advisor. We also have Tran, Founder and CEO at Varmeta in Singapore today. And we have with us in the room, Jonah Lau and Shan from Open Campus. And in North America, Mei Chan, CEO of HashPack. And joining very soon, we have Tran, the CEO of Basal Pay. So just briefly, an overview of today's program. We kick off with a 35-40-minute guided conversation where Jeffrey will be our moderator to talk us through today's topic, where we're really diving into the opportunities in Vietnam, specifically the collaboration that your firms have had over the past many months in the stablecoin payments Sandbox. Then there'll be time for some Q&A at the end. Just a couple of reminders before we get started to ensure that everybody has the best listening experience. The session is being recorded and it will be published on Web3 Harbor's YouTube and other platforms after in a couple of weeks. And to ensure the high quality audio capture, we do kindly ask you to keep your microphone muted throughout the session. You're welcome to unmute, of course, during the Q&A. We do like to remind that today's discussion is for educational and information purposes only, so nothing shared in the webinar should be considered as financial or investment advice. And if you do have any questions after the session, do feel free, or throughout the session, do feel free to drop those in the chat, and we will be monitoring that as well. And with that, I think it's a great opportunity to kick off. So Jeff, over
Kathy,
to you.
thank you so much for the introduction. And as always, thank you for our members from the Web3 Harbor community, as well as those who are interested in participating or joining the Web3 Harbor community. My hope, our hope today is to help demystify basically a journey for Hong Kong originated companies from entering the Vietnamese market. And within the region, actually, to be open and frank. So you look at some of the firm names on the participants of how we came together, and it was a very organic experience. So we have Open Campus and Animoca here. Animoca here in Hong Kong, probably most recently has been on the headlines for the Anchor Point collaboration with Standard Chartered Bank and HK Telecom. They are one of the 2 recipients of the stablecoin issuance license. And so with that kind of activity, I think a lot of the questions here is like, is there a connection between that and Vietnam? The short answer is not yet. But the point is, we are trying to explain how our experience came together as Hong Kong-based companies trying to enter the Vietnamese market. And thanks to our partners in Vietnam as well, Varmeta, Nha, who's the CEO on the call, they are and have been a strategic partner and member of Web3 Harbour, not only helping the Hong Kong-based companies here be successful in Web3, but also being a conduit and a channel for us to establish a presence, not only as Web3 Harbour, working very closely together with our industry association counterparts, also led by Mr. Zing, who is also on the call. He's part of an organization which I'll let him explain later, that goes back to their industry association known as the Vietnam Blockchain Association. And so through the collaboration between Web3 Harbour and our private companies that we all represent, we were able to take some of the policy work, the blueprint that came out of the Web3 Harbour experience over the last, let's say, 12 months or so, and really bring that to the Vietnamese market. And then through the conduits of both the Da Nang and the Ho Chi Minh City IFCs, which I will cover a little bit later as to some of the decrees to kind of baseline the conversations of what it takes to actually understand and enter the Vietnamese market. So with that said, today's session comes in 3 parts. The first part is to have a little bit of a member sharing plus ecosystem sharing of why Vietnam is important to these individual companies. And then we'll talk a little bit about a use case that we came together within one of the sandboxes under the Da Nang Science and Technology Sandbox related to payments, and then wrapped around a key initiative in Da Nang, which is sports tourism and the promotion of that. And then finally, I'll go over basically to demystify a few regulatory and policy areas with the current state of regulations and readiness in Vietnam for Web3 companies to enter. And so, and then we'll kind of stop there and open it up to Q&A. So, Kathy, could we please put the presentation up? I just want to go through very quickly for the first 10 minutes to let the individual companies explain, first of all, who they are, and specifically why they're interested in Vietnam. So maybe I'll start first. Many of some people might know that I've been in the Hedera ecosystem for quite some time. Hedera as a protocol has multiple different, let's say, entities that have been supporting its growth. This year, we've had a clear focus on financial markets, specifically financial market infrastructure, payments, and institutional use cases. And there are some partners here on the call as well. One of our recent acquisitions and very close strategic partner company, IO Builders with Carlos Lopez, is also on the call. And so that is now our tokenization engine. And then we have this new entity, we have this new product offering called Clipper, which is cross-ledger protocol. And these are very important for, let's say, the adoption of ubiquitous blockchain in an institutional format for Vietnam. And we'll talk about some of the exciting financial market infrastructure use cases that off the back of this use case will activate within Vietnam, built on top of Hedera Hashgraph technology. Next, please. A little bit about us. We are a layer 1 protocol. We have a private offering called HashSphere, which basically you can run your own Hedera. These are the companies that have been using us. Some of the people on this call may recognize their own company logos on here. If you're curious on how we're working together, please feel free to reach out to me, or you can find out more information on hedera.com/start. Next, please. And again, some of those use cases that are backed off that. So the idea here is to take the global use cases that we've been doing around the world, through the existing infrastructure that has been put up in place with the Vietnam IFCs, and bring the best practices of both enterprise, judiciary, as well as decentralized technologies with our partner companies that we're going to be sharing our use case today. So next company I would like to actually introduce is HashPack. HashPack is our ecosystem permissionless wallet. And because this initial use case is payments related, we were able to bring in HashPack, and May and I have been working together very, very closely over the years. But one of the things and the passion was how to grow in Asia Pacific. And working through this use case with Vietnam is something very special to both of us. So May, I'll pass it over to you to introduce a little bit of HashPack and then why Vietnam is important to you.
Sure, thanks very much. I'm the CEO and co-founder of HashPack. We launched in the US in 2021 with the goal of providing simple, intuitive, and safe access to the Hedera ecosystem. Today, we're the leading non-custodial wallet on Hedera, and we service users all across the globe. Here in Vietnam, we were a key sponsorship partner for the Da Nang Ironman event, and we used regulated pathways to transfer tens of thousands of dollars in Hedera USDC, using our wallet to provide sponsorship funds to the event. And it was actually quite fun. Quite a lot of work went on behind the scenes, but in the end, it went very, very well. We're really excited to work with Vietnamese partners and come into the space and provide some real value and interesting products to the people of Vietnam.
And how many times have you been to Vietnam?
That was my first time in March. I came and I visited Da Nang and also Ho Chi Minh City, and it was really, really a great trip. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, thanks so much. Next slide, please. And so, Xing, I'm going to ask you to give an introduction. We're going to play your video in the background with no audio, so that people can have both a visual as well as listen to you explain and introduce both Basal Pay, AlphaTrue, and VBA, please.
Okay, so thanks, Jeff, for you be very and also May, and also you host this meeting today. So my name is Dinh. I'm the head of FinTech department from VBA, Vietnam Blockchain and Digital Asset Association, and also I also the CEO of Basal Pay. Basal Pay is the company we have the first and only crypto to fiat payment sandbox in Da Nang, and we're really glad that we can support for Hedera and also HashPack from the Ironman event. So about firstly, I want to let you know about the VBA. So I'm joining this meeting today with two hats, one hat from VBA and one hat from entrepreneur. Is the Basal Pay application. First, the VBA in Vietnam is that we operate. The association is very different from the another country. So in Vietnam, every industry only have one association, and that association needs to have the license from the government. For example, in blockchain industry, in fintech industry, or in real estate industry, every industry only have one association, and it needs to be approved by the government, and we have the license from the government. So that means we are the only one association in blockchain and digital assets. Most of our work is to be the bridge between the businesses from domestic and global, connect with the government. We like the bridge between business and the government, business to the business, from domestic to global, and that's what we're trying to do. And we also the one of the key person who contribute to build the legal framework in Vietnam about blockchain and digital assets. And about the Basal Pay, so in Vietnam, we are the only one right now who got the sandbox in crypto to fiat payment, and we operate in Da Nang. If you know about the sandbox is in Vietnam with this. We operate some kind with very same with Singapore or Hong Kong. So the sandbox is just the limit area. That's why the Basal Pay right now is the sandbox in Da Nang and only in Da Nang city. And what we can do is we can do directly crypto to fiat payment, but legally crypto to fiat payment. And what we are trying to focus is want to bring more money to Vietnam through the crypto and also the blockchain. And our target customer focus is about the foreigner. They can traveling, they can work, or they can do some business in Vietnam, and they can use our application, and they can spend like a local one, and don't need any they don't need any bank, or they don't need any bank account or anything related to the bank. They just deposit the stablecoin in our wallet, and they can spend like a local one in Da Nang. And right now we approach like nearly over 90% of the merchant and of the like restaurant or the POS in Da Nang, like over 90% that can use our application in Da Nang. So yes, that's very briefly from Basal Pay and also the BBA.
Yeah, Zing, I want to say, firstly, thank you so much for such a short time frame of coming in and listening to our idea and how we wanted to support an event in Da Nang, and then being basically our local licensed sponsor to make this use case even possible.
Okay.
I mean, one of the things that I wanted to clear up is the sandbox that Zing was actually referring to is actually a sandbox that's not part of the IFC yet. The IFC, there was an event that happened in Hong Kong here, and some of the people on this call were at the luncheon there. I heard about some of the initiatives of the IFC setting up their own sandboxes. And so this is a natural evolution of a pre-IFC sandbox that will actually move into sandbox activities sponsored by the IFCs themselves. And so it was very nice to be part of a sandbox that was very early on with Zing and company. But then as we move forward, we're also looking to the IFCs as a mechanism for further innovations on top of the hard work that many of the companies here have actually put into growing the opportunities in Vietnam related to Web3. Now, having a license, pairing it with an ecosystem wallet like HashPack is only maybe 1 or 2 steps out of a 10-step process of actually running a successful sandbox in the real world. We also need the localization. And one of our localization partners, obviously, is Varmeta, as I introduced earlier. Localization for us meant several things, right? There's things that we knew and things that we did not know. So the things that we knew is we had to be compliant. We also had to take the Hedera technology, understand what Basal Pay had in terms of its infrastructure, both Web 2 and Web 3, integrate those together, link it up, and then tie it to our actual event, which was the Ironman, and run by a private company called SEV. And that was basically how the entire sandbox came together. And we have both Animoca here as well, as they participated in being sponsors and et cetera, and some of the initiatives coming off of the downstream funds that actually reach their target kind of like audiences, which Animoca will explain later through Open Campus and Pencil Finance. So yeah, talk to us about Varmeta, what and how you helped with, and then specifically the tax module that you had developed that will be basically a VATP compliance component moving forward in later iterations of Sandbox activities.
Yeah, hi everyone, and thank you, Jeff, for the introduction and having us in the event today. So my name is Nha, and founder and CEO of Varmeta. So we are a technology company that is focusing on Web3s, and we have company to build around things like crypto exchanges, wallet bridge, and most of the time we work with regulated clients in countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand to help them build things that compliance, right? So our journeys so we're not just a technology partner, but we've been involving with Web3 Harbour and other international company working as a channel and bridge between international market and domestic market to kind of navigate all the opportunities and challenges when it comes to Vietnam as a market, right? So so I've been involving in the Sandbox and also like in the use cases with Basal Pay and crypto payment in Da Nang, thanks to Jeff. And then like the team was helping to integrate between the crypto payment rail and then the banking rail, right, and make it easier and compliance with all the like compliance and then the company and also like every transaction being transparent and able to put it in the tax report. So that's we've been involving with the use case in in Da Nang Ironman. So I'm very happy to see this kind of innovation happening and looking forward to do even more things with other partners as well in Vietnam.
Fantastic. I mean, it sounds rosy and everything like that, but we went through multiple different iterations, workshopping, syncing up together with not only Basal Pay, HashPack, SEV, the Ironman team, and everyone that was involved, including Hedera engineers. So very happy to share that a little bit later. But before we do that, last but not least, just want to open it up to both Animoca and Open Campus, talk a little bit about what they're focused on, why Vietnam, and how this experience actually helped them understand the market a little bit better.
Yeah, I'll take this. Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, my name is Jonah. It's a pleasure to be here today and to meet everyone on the call. I run the portfolio at Animoca, right? So, but I also wear two hats. So the second hat that I wear alongside Shan here, my colleague, who's the project director at Open Campus, is we run an education project called Open Campus, which we started in 2024. So really, when we started the project, we asked one simple question, which is, out of all of the different academic credentials in the world right now, transcripts, degrees, university diplomas, how much of these credentials are actually safely stored digitally, right? And how can we also trust them, right? So that was really the genesis of the question behind Open Campus and the problem that we aim to solve, right? So we run verification portals for states and universities where the mission here for us is to pretty much tokenize every single academic credential in the world, right? To make it safe, trustworthy, and durable for students and graduates around the world. So if we go to the next slide, we also run a project called Pencil Finance, which is the world's first tokenization platform for education financing. So we have $1 million worth of student loans actually tokenized, sitting on the blockchain. And for the first time, we're actually able to turn student loans into an investable asset class for investors around the world, right? So the idea here is, can we turn capital, can we take impact-seeking capital, bring that on-chain, make it cross-border, global liquidity base, and connect that capital with students that need it the most? In countries like Vietnam, we're currently active in Philippines, right? So that's our kind of beachhead market in Southeast Asia. But the ambition here very much is to take this around the world, take this globally, right? So I guess if we then kind of go to the next slide, really quickly, how are we connected to Vietnam? So, for the past year and a half, we've actually been actively building in Vietnam. We have launched a partnership with Luvia, a local education platform, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Training in Vietnam. So that's us at our MOU signing ceremony earlier this year. Actually, it was a really proud moment for us. We've onboarded approximately 40,000 students now in Vietnam through the Luvia platform onto the tokenization platform that I mentioned, where every single one of their credentials actually on the Luvia platform is being tokenized on the blockchain, right? So really, the reason why we were so interested to get involved in this Sandbox project, right, is because all of this stuff that we're building, student loan tokenization, digital credentialing, really the key thing is, can we get money to the place where we need it, right? And I think one of the big question marks for us has always been, look, we want to get into Vietnam with what we've built outside, but can we get the money in? Does the plumbing actually work, right? So that's why this Danang Sandbox Danang Payment Sandbox really mattered, right? It proved with real money, right, that the money can actually get onshore. It can enter Vietnam through a licensed, through a regulatory compliant pathway. And yeah, I mean, so we're really excited what this signals, right? And I think the future is really bright here. We have all the building blocks in place outside. Now I think it's a matter of bringing it into the country, and we're extremely excited at that.
Yeah. Next slide, please. Hopefully it's not the video. It might be. Oh, no, it's not. Maybe we can stop for now. And I'll put some context. Can we go to the use case and then the use case video? And we'll go back to the decrees afterwards. So this is the power of the industry association or an industry association. Yeah, I myself as a protocol, as a member of Web3 Harbour, wanted to enter Vietnam and try to understand what the opportunities were. Through Web3 Harbour, we found common members who had and were going through a similar journey, right? And then through our ecosystems of both Animoca plus Hedera, and then within Varmeta's network with the VBA, et cetera, there were other companies that wanted to figure out what we could do together, right? To really understand and test out how to enter the market. And so that's where we all came together. And though, you know, education financing, financial market infrastructure doesn't really, you know, tie in with a sports tourism activity. How do we actually even land to this? So, you know, funny enough, we went around and we're building out our network and previous like Web2 experts. There was one individual that was really a mentor to all of us, and his name is Bang Chen. He runs a company called 20 and 20, whose mission is to make Vietnam a global top 20 economy within 20 years. He was also the previous CFO that brought Techcombank, which is like the HSBC of Vietnam, to the public market. And so he was working on IPO as a CFO. And in that time, he made a very interesting comment to all of us. He's like, you have to focus on what the government cares about. And locally within the regional ministries, understand what the priorities are. And in Da Nang, tourism and sports tourism wellness is actually a very critical component of let's say the mix of revenue for the government. And hence we identified something like an Ironman or another like fireworks festival or even a marathon as one of these safe, testable activities where we can actually bring in Web3 fund flows for a very specific purpose-bound function. We also culminate in a very unique time in Vietnam, right? So the decrees, which I will be covering shortly, we'll explain this in greater detail. But again, the Vietnamese government from the highest levels have actually proposed growth initiatives related to infrastructure for Web3. And so this did not really exist 2 years ago, right? Simultaneously, the country itself is consolidating many of the economic zones or many of the provinces into more unified districts for better management, streamlining, efficiency, et cetera, as the country actually expands and to reach its economic goals. And one of the things that have come off of this is previously you could not actually run a full Ironman because the distance of a full Ironman exceeded the boundaries of the city. And because of the streamlining and consolidation of multiple districts into one in the Da Nang region, a full Ironman for the first time was able to be established and actually executed. So, you know, the organizing team did not have to go and work with 3 different tourism ministries, 4 different police departments, 5 different safety and compliance departments, right? So it was all just one entity. And this gave us a fantastic opportunity because it was a full Ironman. More people showed up this year. And the first Ironman, full Ironman in Da Nang, also coincided with the first real world Web3 payment sandbox that was tied to this very specific event. So it allowed the government to rewire the city for 1 day, or technically 2 days. It also allowed us to reintroduce and also be part of that rewiring from a financial market infrastructure perspective. And thanks to Basal Pay, HashPack working together to provide us that rail conduit from offshore onshore. And then also the companies here that had the ability to actually take different forms of currency, cryptocurrency. So we use USDT, USDC, HBAR, other derivatives of those coins in treasuries related to our companies, and then converted all of them in a compliant way through Basel Pay's infrastructure, and then also push the envelope by saying, not only do we need to convert all these different types of digital currencies, we also need to make sure that it's compliant within the local regulations of Vietnam. So synthetically, we said in a world where taxation and VAT requirements are present, what systems need to be in place? So we challenge ourselves to actually create that, even though it wasn't necessarily needed at this point in time. So we're really excited to actually explain and talk a little bit about that use case. So with that, Kathy, if you could actually move into back into the presentation with those slides, I can talk a little bit more about like what we actually did. Next one. So overall, this whole opportunity came about maybe a month and a half before the actual events. Yes. Because things move so fast. I mean, at the beginning, the IFCs also moved very fast. So the IFCs themselves were established at the beginning of this year, in terms of they got going. But the decree to actually establish them was from earlier in the previous year. And so if you could go to the next slide, please. Resolution 222, and this is very important. 222 is basically the foundational activation of the establishment of the IFCs by the National Assembly in Hanoi. And with that, there is one IFC, 2 centers. So one in Ho Chi Minh City, one in Da Nang, focus on complementary but materially different areas of, let's say, Web3 growth for tokenization, infrastructure, etc. And so underneath this resolution 222, there are 8 decrees that cover how this resolution will be successful. And it was very exciting last week when the IFC of Da Nang came to visit Hong Kong, as well as mainland China and Switzerland previously, to actually kind of talk about what their initiatives are wrapped around this resolution 222, tied to those 8 decrees. So Kathy, if you go to the next one. These decrees are relatively comprehensive, right? The first decree out of that resolution 222 is to set up an international financial center in each one of the primary cities, with focusing on the areas that they are, let's say, strong in. So Da Nang itself as a hub for trade, with its seaports and its free trade zone, it's not uncommon that commodities trade, agriculture, as well as sports tourism would be the primary focus. And then on top of that, semiconductors, green finance, as well as other FDI flows to establish funding to create infrastructure projects such as seaports, a new airport or renovation of the airport, infrastructure for railway, high-speed rail, and then also highways as well, and many, many more related to data centers, semiconductors, and energy. The next decree is actually related to the establishment of fund flows and the schemes to allow the IFC to be successful for inbound, outbound money within set periods of time. And so these decrees we'll share with you after this call, but it's pretty comprehensive of what's the focus is. And the various other decrees are around talent development, financial banking infrastructure, setting up relative other market infrastructure such as exchanges and clearing and OTC desks related to the areas of focus. And then finally, the ability to actually have legal as well as regulatory certainty through the judiciary and rule of law, which is critical for any IFC to be successful. when it comes to offshore and foreign capital coming into critical infrastructure investments through private credit as well as public funding. And lastly, an area that's of utmost importance for the country is the real estate industry. And so there is a decree specifically focused on how to modernize through the IFC some of the infrastructure required to ensure that not only tokenization of assets such as real estate would be successful, but basically the modernization of the infrastructure itself to account for this. And we're going to fly through these slides. I'm not going to go through them, but these be ready to receive these post the call. Kathy, if you go through the next 8 slides very quickly, I just want to show the audience the decrees themselves. So this is decree number 1, again, to establish IFCs. Next, please. Decree number 2. Decree number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And so please, on the off time post this mix, take a look at it. If you're serious and interested about Vietnam, I think this is a really good first step to actually understand the current lay of the land. And then the next thing is to actually work through the industry associations of both Web3 Harbour and Vietnam Blockchain Association to understand who the partners and the activities would be required. And then directly talk to the IFC. We have some IFC representatives here on this call as well to understand what the requirements are to actually set up an IFC and take advantage of some of the schemes, tax benefits, as well as programs that the IFC has been setting up. So last slide. Okay, so let's talk about the actual sandbox itself. So Iron Man has been running for 10 years in the net. And every year, for the first 3 years, it was quite small, ran into some problems. In many ways, they were the first sandbox, non-Web3, but how a foreign company can actually come in and work in Vietnam with the local authorities, regulators, and et cetera. And some of the key learnings from the SEV team that made Iron Man successful was you have to work very closely with the local authorities, have the relationships at the uppermost level in Hanoi as well, and communicate exactly what you're doing, making sure that they're aligned with the national initiatives. And then simultaneously make sure that whatever the event is being held is net beneficial for the local community and Vietnam as a whole. So we took all those basic kind of like primitives and said, okay, if we were to do a Web3 related activity, we need to make sure we hit all of those key milestones, right? And so pairing with SEV was great because we shared the same common values of now, promoting Vietnam as a hub for investment, making sure that the next generation and the current generation of Vietnam stays healthy through activities to promote wellness, as well as reduce overall costs of the golden generation for productivity, as well as bring innovations into this, let's say, platform of sports, tourism, wellness, and economic activity. And so you imagine you have over 4,000 senior executives and their families flying into a place like that. They're there to visit, to see, to understand, and realize that Vietnam is a place to invest. So it is also a showcase for that one specific weekend of the potential of business opportunities in Vietnam. So as a culmination of all these different initiatives, we were able to establish very interesting programming. And one of the things was the establishment of this payment sandbox. And so there was actually a couple components. The first component was, how do international companies potentially bring money into Vietnam for purpose-bound or specific use cases like this? Where in our case, we wanted to test different types of digital currencies coming in via sandbox infrastructure to be able to sponsor an event like this, right? But there's more than that. After the sponsored dollars are actually in, how do we track the usage of those funds to their final destination? So whether it's used to pay vendors, whether it's used for purpose-bound activities such as other charities and or sponsorship, scholarship activities such as helping the local winners of the Ironman who cannot afford to go to the next event actually go to the next competition, right? These are things that are tied into what Open Campus Pencil Finance are doing, what Hedera is trying to figure out in terms of financial market infrastructure, Basal Pay, HashPack, and Varmeta as well. So we were really excited to actually be able to create these flows. And again, the flows have to be compliant. So as on the inbound level, it's really tied to the license and the compliance governance that Basel Pay has. But then the outbound side is basically all of the VATP compliance that we wanted to simulate with the module, the tax module that Varmeta had put together. And so I'm gonna then let Basel Pay and Zing, Andy talk a little bit more about the compliance first approach of Basel Pay itself and why they're a leader and why they actually received the first Sandbox license. And then afterwards, I'm gonna ask Nya to talk a little bit about the downstream activity of what and how the tax module came to even be in existence, right? Working together with Hedera and the Stablecoin studio, and our initiatives in Vietnam. So I'll start there, and then we can then go back to HashPack and Open Campus to talk about inbound coming in and also outbound going out to its final recipient. So Zing, if you could actually talk a little bit more about your experience getting the license, why you're compliant, how you're compliance first, and why companies on this call should be working with you moving forward.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. So I realized that almost all the participants today is like is not Vietnamese. Yeah, it's the foreigner from many countries and very beautiful from other like beautiful country. But in Vietnam, because in Vietnam in the crypto space, there's the time that they really separate. So I had a meeting with we had the private dinner and we had a co-host with Varmeta and also Hedera and HashPack. So I already shared about this. So in Vietnam, it's used to we have the very separate environment for blockchain resources. So there's one environment I call it like the OG or like the island like this very separate island. So what they are doing for the blockchain or crypto, they're doing DeFi, they are doing GameFi, they're doing like something related with stablecoin, they're doing like cross-border, or they're doing anything about DeFi, and I call it their OG. Another environment or another like we call it another group is the traditional finance, they are the government, they are the bank, they are the insurance company. So what is the separate of these two groups? The first group, they are very innovation, they are really innovative, they are doing like almost like anything in crypto space can do, they do very well. They have the very good dev, they have the very like good connect with the global. But what is the group? In this group, from the government, from the bank, from the insurance, from the traditional company, they only see the risk. They only see the risk. This the innovation. They did very innovation, and this they only see the risk from the crypto. They only see the money laundering. They only see the criminal in this. They only see the like gray area, the money flow, inflow, outflow. This they cannot control it. So that's very separate, and we don't have the middle group. So when we found the BBA, we realized that we need to have the bridge, or this like the OG or DeFi, this could be like wiped out someday. And right now, many companies in Vietnam happen this because they don't understand about the regulation. They don't understand what happened next. So that means that they when the government they change the rule, they change the law. We used to have the very free environment for the DeFi, for the innovation, but when the government changed the law, in this group, the DeFi group, the OG group, they don't know what to do next. So they need to close, or they need to wipe out of Vietnam. They will fight like another plan or another country to operate their businesses. And the government what they want to, right? What they want to avoid the risk. They want to take control of the money flow. They want to give the opportunity to the right partner that they can avoid the risk. So from Basal Pay, we understanding what the OG, what like the DeFi, the OG, what they want, and we understand what the government want. So when we got the first sandbox, when we apply for the first sandbox, because at that moment last year we are the only one in the market who understanding in both world, and we apply the sandbox. And in the government, we only give them two messages. The first, if we operate the crypto to fiat payment, I can commit that I can bring the money only in. I bring the money only in, not out. So that's the message. The government really love it because they want to attract the money from global to Vietnam. And the second message I give to the government when I apply the sandbox is about we are really compliant. We do the compliant first. We do really good in AML city. We report we report weekly, we report monthly, quarterly to the government, and every money flow into through our application would need to do the KYC. I need to follow the travel rule, FATF. I need to do the SDR or everything behind to follow the Vietnamese rule. So because of that two messages I give to the government, so that's why that's one of the change that I got the first sandbox license in Vietnam. But yes, because I have the very support from the Da Nang government too to get the first sandbox. So that's from Basal Pay story. And back to the use case from the how we can like Jess already said, how we can apply the new model because in the past they used to send a lot of money from the crypto to fiat into Vietnam, but like Jeff says, like 100% of that is not legal. I don't say it's not I don't say it's illegal, but it's not legal. It's still the gray market. So when we host the event with the SEV and also Varmeta, also with HashPack and Hedera. So what I want to bring is I want to build the first money flow, or it could be like the bridge between the global to Vietnam with crypto. But the most important thing is the legal. So I need to do everything about the VAT, the tax. Need to report to the government, to issue the paper document, and everything we need to do very transparent because the government in Vietnam, they really afraid what they cannot control. So in every step from Basal Pay, we do the report from the beginning when we not start the event. In the event, we report to the government, and after the event, we report to the government. So that's what we do, and I think that from the global company, if you want to operate in Vietnam, you should be communicate with the government really frequently. Because they really afraid what they don't understand. So what we need to do is you need to communicate with the government. It could be like the agency, it could be the report, or it could be like the dashboard, or it could be the static, anything. But you need to communicate with the government very frequently. So for the Basal Pay, after we received the requirement from the from the Animoca, from the SEV, from the Hedera, so we prepare everything to report, to build the task, and we check that what we can do from our license, and we cooperate with some partner in Vietnam also to build everything, build the money flow very clear to the government. So when they see to the money flow, they can understand where the risk come from. So if they see no risk in the money flow, so everything could be working very smoothly. So that's from Basal Pay we are working. So from our experience, from the cases, I think from the VBA, so also from the entrepreneur in crypto perspective. So if the global company or if you want to operate in Vietnam or you want to expand in the market in Vietnam, so what is my experience? Firstly, you need to communicate very frequently with the government, and what you need to do is not only communicate. You need to explain what you're trying to do, what you are willing to do, and maybe you can, if you can see some point of the risk, you can show them what is the risk and how you can manage that. So that's the first thing. The second thing that the global company, I think you should approach. I think Hedera and also Animoca brand, you approach the right way. You're working very close with the government agency, and you understanding about the legal framework in Vietnam. But I think from a global company, you should cooperate with the. I'm not saying the license, because right now the license company in Vietnam about crypto space or blockchain space is really limited. But from the global company, you should work or with the global company. Like for example, Hedera, we are working with Varmeta, very good partner. So if you are a global company, you should working with the local company. Maybe it will take some cost from the beginning because you're working with the local. Maybe you can hire the advisory, or you can working with the local partner to advise you what to do next. But you will save a lot of money in the future, because I see many global company, they are invest a big amount of money in here, but because they don't understand about the legal framework, or they don't understand how the government work in here. So when they operate like 1 or 2 years and their model is not legal in here, so that's why they need to shut down everything, and they cost a lot of money. So the second thing I want to align that if you are a global company going to Vietnam, you should work very close with the local company, and if they have the license, it's very good. But if they don't have the license, you need to find the local company that understand it, what they in the industry, and what is the Vietnam government working in Vietnam. And the last but not least, because the government, because from VBA perspective, I see that the Vietnamese government, they really want to pushing this industry, the blockchains, the crypto assets, they really want to pushing. But the big gap, what is the big gap in here? Like I said, that we used to separate into two groups. One group is the DeFi, the OG, the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, Solana, Hedera. They understand everything about the blockchain, the crypto, and they are the OG. But in this space, the government, they only see the risk. So because we see the gap, so we try to fill the gap. So for BBA, what we are trying to do is we're not trying to bring the business. We're not trying to build the DeFi application to GameFi application. In nearly 3 years, one thing we already wanting, we educate for the government to understand about the market, to understand what the DeFi, what the blockchain, how's the money flow, what is AMFCT, what is Chainalysis, what is XDR in the blockchain. That's the only thing we do with the government. We try to educate them. So if you are the global company, I think the most important thing that you need to educate the government, not to educate the market. You need to educate the government first, because if the government understand what you are doing and understand what you can bring to Vietnam, they will really support you. But if they don't understand, even you can have the big community, even you can have the very good educate to the market, they will ban you in some day if they cannot control the risk. So you can see in Vietnam right now, when the resolution number 5 in the parallel exchange, they were attack list. Many exchanges like Bybit, like Binance, like OKX, they used to have the very big amount of user in here. But I'm sure that if we have the first exchange, most of that exchange will be banned of Vietnam, and the user who use that exchange in Vietnam will be illegal. So even you have the big community, even you have like the operate in here, but if you don't follow the rule, the rule of the game, the rule of the government, they will ban you very easily. So the most important thing that is not educate to the market. You need to educate to the government first, and you can do both in the parallel, educate the user and educate to the government. So that's from my experience and from sharing from the Vietnamese entrepreneur and also the VBA. Yep.
No, I mean it is fantastic. Thank you so much, Dinh, for that coverage. I can't say that, you know, from our perspective that we had that hindsight. We actually started, you know, I don't want to use the word blocked, but we got stuck a few times, and it wasn't until we had to rethink everything we realized, wow, you can actually pull something off in about a month and a half. That in my mind, that was not possible because I had spent the previous 12 months trying to get something even smaller over the line. So that is a little bit of a hack that, you know, we do want to share with you today. Again, Dinh, you said it very well. Work with a local partner that you trust. Second is educate and focus on the government first, and specifically map out the government properly. There are various different levels when it comes to the Web3 industry. You have the mainland onshore government and policy making bodies, which are known as the SBV, the State Bank of Vietnam, which is the central bank. You have the Ministry of Finance, which happens to, it works more like the FSTB here. And then you have the IFCs. So do not get confused that if you work with the IFC, you technically have a ear to MOF and SVB. It is not like that. You know, Hanoi is Hanoi, Da Nang is Da Nang, Ho Chi Minh City is Ho Chi Minh City. But the VIC is one scheme that connects everything together. And again, you have the local city municipal governments, you have the central government, and then you have the IFC program. So that's one thing. If you do take away from entering Vietnam, find those partners, such as, you know, Vietnam Blockchain Association, which is like working with Web3 Harbour. There is another entity called GOE Alliance, which is they're working very closely with both IFCs, both centers within the IFC, I should say, to kind of come up with all of these different priorities and infrastructure to make the IFC successful. And then you have various different other local, semi-local partners, such as, you know, Dragon Capital, VNet Capital, Apex, etc., which we found very useful to work with as well, because they have hired local established teams, but are international companies operating with licensing in Vietnam. And this is for them like the tokenization space and financial market infrastructure. You know, everyone, we are at the near the end, right? I did want to give Varmeta some time, but I will have to maybe cover it for Nha briefly. Nha, when it comes to localization, again, I'll reiterate, we couldn't have done this without a localization partner. So it's one thing to have the requirements in Vietnam, another thing to have the requirements overseas, but the intermediary that gaps all that, you need partners like Varmeta and other entities like Varmeta in Vietnam. So do go and identify the company that is right fit and sized for you. Varmeta, for us, in our perspective at Hedera, and maybe even some of you on this call already use them and their services, but they were very instrumental in helping us get this over the line. So do find that kind of, let's say, like, you know, trusted partner on top of your like actual execution and go-to-market partner. That's another takeaway that we've learned from our time here together at Animoca, Hedera, as well as HashPack. So and SEV, if they were here, they would probably say the same thing. So do want to close out with that. And with that, we are at the time mark. So I'll hand it back to Kathy. I think she has some final remarks before we end up.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. I first want to thank everybody for guiding us through the your experience. I think it's great to see, how quickly it can come together with the right partners, and definitely getting those direct, practical insights. So hopefully everybody on the line has walked away with some new insights. And as we can't take many questions on the line now, do feel free to reach out to us at web3events@web3harbor.org if you have questions you do want to channel through to our speakers today. And as they said, we will share the presentation as well. Briefly, before wrapping up, I do want to spotlight a few upcoming events. So we do have next Friday another episode of Web3 Harbor Smart Contact. We will be welcoming Yuga Labs CEO Michael Figge for a deep dive conversation with our chair, Gary Liu, looking at the evolution of digital ownership and the internet native communities, as well as why Hong Kong matters for Yuga Labs' next chapter. I will drop here just in the chat those links so that you can directly register. That is an in-person event, and we will be posting the recording after as well on our YouTube channel. Then also on the 29th of June, there's a technical seminar run by a couple of our member firms, Latham & Watkins and Alex Partners, looking at crypto distress and turnaround lessons. So another talk on regulation and resilience. And then our next mixed webinar is slated for the 16th of July. We do have DEDGE security lined up for that and an exciting lineup for the rest of the year. I think Sarika, who will be leading the conversation, is on the line. So do stay tuned on our Luma channel for the sign up link for that. Once again, on behalf of Web3 Harbor, really thank everybody for taking your lunch break to spend it with us. Hopefully you learned something new and do share your feedback. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And that wraps up another session of Web3 Harbor's Mixed series. A huge thank you to our faculty today for leading the way. It's one thing to have expertise. It's another to share it so the whole ecosystem can level up. This kind of ecosystem building is exactly what Web3 Harbor is all about. We hope you're walking away with a few more insights and ideas for your own journey. If you want to revisit any part of this conversation or explore a full resource library, head over to our official channels. We'll be back here next month. So for all of us at Web3 Harbor, stay curious, keep building, and we'll see you at the next Member Intelligence Exchange.